Hey there, bows and bow ties. What is going on? What is going on? As you can see, it is a rainy day, so I need to be a little more focused. But yeah, I'm trying to decide if I should take the highway or the back roads. I love the back roads, but so I need to chit chat about something. For those of you who know, I was on a brief holiday with hubby. We were in Iceland, enjoying some time in Scandinavia. And I just wanted to talk about something I noticed. Well, my husband and I were recovering, from our plane ride. We were sitting there trying to get our life together. In our hotel room, we're on the bed watching television. What do you want to know? But it was interesting. We were flipping through the channels. There was CNN and there was the BBC and BBC Brit and some other things. But it was interesting because while we were flipping through, we settled back on CNN. I don't even really know why we paid that much attention to it, but we did. And so, they were talking about what was happening in Indonesia right now. I want you to sit there and hang in there with me for a moment, okay? By the way, for those of you who are new to my channel, I am the Black Opinionated woman, also known as a B.O.W. So go ahead, just hit the subscribe because I'm amazing in every way and I can do no wrong. Okay, so we were sitting there watching the CNN. And, they were talking about the brawl, the football brawl, what I would call soccer. What we say in the United States is soccer, but for those of you who are not here in the United States, you call it football. I was watching the melee, the football brawl, the tragedy that happened in Indonesia. There were two local teams playing a game of soccer, and I guess the visiting team, wound up whooping up on the home team or beating them or whatever it was. But what happened after that was, let me turn this down sound. What happened was there ended up being a riot because it was like, no, you did not come up into our home area and beat us like this. That's for what I surmise and what I can understand. But what happened after that was there was a riot. There were the police using tear gas, and then what happened, there ended up being a stampede, and many people were injured and ultimately are no longer among the living, including children. So we're watching this and I'm like, this is horrible. I want you to hold on. Also on BBC, I meant to say CNN, they were talking about the whacked out elections happening in Brazil. So there was no majority vote. I don't know what's going on. So Brazil is losing their minds, okay? And then you have what happened in Iran. I can't remember what the reason for the death was, but there was the death of Amini, I think is her name was. There was a woman who was, I believe, everything's going to be alleged right now because I can't remember the exact details. She was put to death. So right now you got the Iranians acting out. You got sports teams who are like protesting. You got the women acting out and shaving their heads. The women are shaving their heads bald. The men are going bald. I don't remember the reason for her death, but apparently, I don't know. There was some sort of human rights or women's rights violation stuff. You got the state blocking access to the internet. But hold on. And then, of course, you got my favorite, the Russia-Ukraine situation. Okay. Russia's like, we have annexed 4 portions or 4, parts of Ukraine. And Ukraine's like, no, you didn't. And Russia's like, yes, we did. And they're like, no, you didn't. And so next thing you know, Russia's still talking about there could possibly be nuclear options. And in the meantime, Ukraine has taken back some area and is throwing down the Russian flags. Why did I bring all this up? With that being said, yes, I'm paying attention to my surroundings. With that being said, hold on, let me make sure I put this defroster on because, got about to slide. Take this down a little bit. Sorry for all the noise. I don't want a max. No, not max. Come on. Not the max. So now, at this point, I'm like, CNN pans back or flips back to what's happening stateside. Now, granted, this was, I think, the international CNN, but CNN in full-on shenanigans, this was quite lovely. They're like, well, more back on the devastation for Hurricane Ian as they're panning to rich people's boats. And I'm like, this is the reason why people hate Americans. while the world is crashing and burning, you've got a real war going on. You've got like a situation happening in Indonesia. You got the Brazilian elections, just all kinds of jacked up. Why is this not doing what I wanted to do? There we go. Okay, you got the Brazilian situation acting up, and then you've got the Iranian situation. Okay, all this is going on, but we decided to report on what's happening in America about Hurricane Ian. And I get it, but you can't be this tone deaf and bring up rich people's boats. Not to say that rich people don't deserve help too, but I'm like, are you serious right now? If you're going to report on Hurricane Ian's devastation, then what you need to do is talk about like how real lives have been impacted. Not to say that rich people's lives haven't been impacted, but I mean, like, there are people who lost everything. So I'm like, CNN is always doing too much. I mean, it's like all these news outlets, I feel like they're the flat out mafia. And let me just say for the record, now I wasn't like a big fan of 45, but there's certain things that he said made sense. It's all fake news. It is all fake news. Now look, I'm torn about the Hurricane Ian situation because at the end of the day, I don't like to see like people suffering. I'm not about that, and I just don't like to see suffering. Now, am I heartless or coldless to say that it sucks? Like I know it sucks if people who've lost lives, they've lost family members. You know, there are people who lost loved ones. So I just felt like CNN was all the way tone deaf. I just could not believe they got out here on the world's internet or radio broadcastways and were like, yes, back to Hurricane Ian. The mass devastation is just blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they're showing rich people's boats. Rich people's boats. I was like, and my husband's like, this would be better if they didn't show boats. And I was like, you think? You know, so here we are looking at the full-on shenanigans of CNN. And I'm like, you know what? I'm so done. I mean, look, I don't like to see any devastation, but this is the thing that kills me. Every year, we know that there's going to be hurricane insert name down there. And this is the thing. There is a difference between, what was I going to use? There's a difference between evacuation and relocating. So, and I want you to hear me out. There are some people who cannot afford, like they don't have the means to relocate. Okay? Sorry, I got like mixed up for a second. I wanted to make sure I was paying attention. There are people who can't relocate. Then there's the people who moved to Florida on purpose, knowing that the hurricane shenanigans happen yearly. Okay? So it's kind of like, for the people who cannot afford to relocate, I get it. But then I get frustrated with people not wanting to evacuate for a variety of reasons. I don't want to like take away from what people are dealing with, right? There's a lot that goes into that. Okay? But I just feel like you've got the government of, or in Florida, I guess they waited long. They said, well, it was unpredictable. But I'm like, but don't you typically err on the side of caution in evacuating instead of waiting to the last second? But in the same token, I feel like, look, you knew there was a hurricane coming, people. Why are you staying there? You've got people who literally, I'm just like, oh my goodness. You've got people who move there and then they are like, please bail us out, government. I'm like, why did you move there? Why do you continue to stay there every year? There's people who choose not to get insurance because it's high, but they want to live high on the hog. Right now, I'm not talking about the people who are struggling with finances. I'm talking about even people who are like, have recreational boats or whatever. I just kind of feel like I don't understand. There's one thing to be, unable to relocate. But then there's the people who locate there on purpose and they're like, help me. I'm like, this is a show every like August through October, November timeframe. So I don't know. Anyway, let me get back to my main point. CNN knows that they were flat out raggedy. Okay. And it's not that I don't think that the wealthy, the rich, should receive assistance, but it is highly tone deaf to talk about the devastation of a hurricane, and you're showing rich people's boats, and you're talking about Sanibel Island. Okay, I'm just calling things. It's just my opinion. These are all just opinions. And no, I don't always get it right. I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. But I'm telling you right now, the shenanigans of CNN are too much. So anyway, these are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. I definitely think that they shouldn't be showing rich people's boats when people who have lost their lives. And let me just say this too. It's just so interesting how we are so tone deaf as a nation, right? We got the whole world crashing and burning around us. But in our mind, I don't know if it's media propaganda, we want to show the might of the United States by showing us losing votes. I don't know. Whatever it was just all the way wrong. I don't know who is producing those segments, but they need to take some classes on emotional intelligence or something. There are books out there. Everything about that situation just kind of I was I'm so confused, because I'm this is too much, all the way too much. All right, that's it. Those are my thoughts. Yeah, that's it. Go ahead and subscribe. You really should just subscribe because I'm entertaining, at least in my own mind. Later.